Port Moresby's rental and sale of properties costly. Specialists seek government assistance for Operation Open Heart. And Hunter's coach retains the team for this weekend's match.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Thursday's news. Thanks again for joining me. The National Research Institute launched one of its reports on understanding property price movements here in Port Moresby today. The research reveals that Port Moresby has the largest property market in the country. It highlights the need for the government to adopt new planning, development and administrative systems.
The research was carried out over a 12-month period from July 2012 to 2013. Within the study period, the price of properties in Port Moresby was very unstable. Rental prices were decreasing, while standalone houses were being transformed into units and apartments. The stock of informal housing was also on the rise. Traditionally, low-cost suburbs experienced rapid booms in both sales and rental prices, including the sale of land. According to comments made at the launching, although it is seen as rapid development, rental prices and property sales are very high.
Downtown Port Moresby shows rentals 11,700 kina per week, not per month, but per week. Now that's it's high, yes. So this reflects the demand for the location, the preferred locations. It shows that people are willing to pay, or companies are willing to pay that amount to accommodate, their staff.
Director of NRI, Dr. Thomas Webster, recommends that if the government wants to reduce the high rental cost and property sales, they should release land to build more residential properties to balance the housing rentals and sales. He said if there are more houses available, the market price will reduce as there will be less demand. However, during the period of study, the increased level of activity in the property market was attributed to the construction phase of the multi-billion kina PNG LNG project.
We need to improve land administration systems, and this is particularly in relation to physical planning, valuation, all the aspects of land administration, so that we bring new land onto the market. And as many of you have said, in terms of so that people can then build on those. And so that will then address the high cost of housing, or reduce the cost, not only in NCD, but right across the country.
The increased activity has attracted public debates, which prompted the government to initiate the first home buyer scheme and the land affordable housing policy. National Housing Corporation Chief Valuer Tore Ori also revealed that NHC failed to build new houses since its establishment in the 70s.
National Housing Commission, after independence, has failed completely to further develop town subdivision leases. And it has not done so all these years. And so the houses built at that colonial administration time, they have all exhausted. The stock of houses have exhausted, and it's all out.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The Certified Practicing Accountants, or CPA, is serious about promoting and maintaining high standards in the accountancy profession. Today, CPA launched its 5-year corporate plan, which sets to set the strategic path to deliver on its mandate. Its vision is to be a globally recognized professional accountancy body.
The Certified Practicing Accountants PNG is generally known through its annual conferences hosted jointly with its Australian counterpart. And rightly so, because the CPA conference is in its 15th year, and this year's theme will look at improving ethical behavior and development of the small to medium enterprises with the theme Accounting Beyond Accountability. CPA's new corporate plan 2015 to 2019 focuses on strategic themes such as promoting and increasing membership, providing professional development, and maintaining a high standard of examination processes and outcomes.
The 5-year corporate plan clearly defines the vision, mission and core values of CPA PNG and the objectives that we shall pursue in the next 5 years.
Also in line with its strategic theme to maintain a high standard of examination processes and outcomes, CPA launched its new membership database management system. Its key features include membership registration and access to grades of courses and examinations.
Apart from the projects that we have launched today, the corporate plan and the database, we have other projects which are coming. And we as colleagues, we have stakeholders, we take ownership to develop, promote and implement those projects.
Also today, Bank South Pacific came on board as a platinum level sponsor for the 2015 CPA PNG and CPA Australia joint annual conference to be held in Port Moresby, Lae and Kokopo. BSP's head of financial reporting, Donna Vaname, presented a ceremonial dummy check of over 52,000 kina to the CPA PNG president, Daniel Beattie. Mr. Vaname said BSP sees the need for financial specialists in accounting, banking and management as an important human resource development need as PNG moves on into the future. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Labour and Industrial Relations Acting Secretary George Vaso has brushed aside damning comments made by Trade Union Congress Secretary John Pasca, reported in today's Post-Courier. He claimed that the media report titled Union Slams Overseas Junket was unviable and misleading to the people. In the article, Pasca claimed the Labour Department is wasting 1 million kina of taxpayers' money to send delegates to Geneva for the International Labour Convention. However, Vaso hit back, claiming the department will approve only 3 delegates, as is in accordance with the law. There is promising news for cardio patients in the country following the successful open heart surgery administered on 4 patients at the Port Moresby General Hospital by an all-PNG cardiac surgical team. Since its inception in 1992, over 900 Papua New Guinean lives have been saved through Operation Open Heart. The few cardio specialists in the country are now calling on the PNG government to support the program and help save lives.
Dr. Noah Tapawa from New Island Province is one of the only 2 cardiothoracic specialist surgeons in the country, leading the PNG team of 13 medical professionals. Dr. Tapawa said in 2009, cardiovascular diseases received government recognition as a national issue. However, not much has been affected on the floor of Parliament lately. The medical program primarily depended on fundraising drives and support from the PNG business community. In 23 years, funds have been used to conduct operations, assist specialists to further enhance training overseas, and purchase equipment and medical supplies. Dr. Tapawa says apart from donors, the only government assistance by the National Health Department is from the annual budget for screening. On estimation, approximately 40% of Papua New Guineans may once experience cardio complications. Dr. Tapawa says coronary heart disease is commonly found in developing nations due to poor diet and sanitation habits. Last month, after successfully conducting the complex medical procedures, Dr. Tapawa and team are confident to continue with more patients. Their call is for the government to take full ownership of this program. With a qualified PNG-based team, this will trim down on external visits from open heart doctors in Singapore and Australia, and for the money to be redirected towards local operations. The estimated cost of operating on a patient at the Port Moresby General Hospital is less than 20,000 kina, equivalent to 300,000 kina in Singapore or Australia. 2 other PNG doctors are currently undergoing training as an adult cardiologist in the United Kingdom and intervention cardiologist in Singapore. Dr. Tapawa and his counterparts all have been sponsored by the Operation Open Heart organization. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Well, 2 weeks of protests to stop the PMIZ, and landowners have petitioned the Ombudsman Commission to investigate the deals surrounding the project. 2 days ago, a petition was handed to members of the Madang Provincial Executive Council, including the Ombudsman, demanding action. MTV's Bethany Harriman takes another look into the PMIZ saga.
The call to the Ombudsman Commission demands for an investigation into PMIZ funds, money borrowed from the Chinese Exim Bank, and those involved in the decision-making since day one. Now, the call comes in the form of a petition given to members of the Executive Council to present to the Ombudsman. A petition was also given to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and the Madang Governor Jim Cuss. The call by landowners to the Ombudsman Commission to investigate money spent and those involved has backing from Sumka MP Ken Fairweather.
There's an underwater sublease that the people of Sec Island will have to go. Mostly the people of Ward 8 will have to go.
Fairweather in this interview alleged that deals were made in secret involving former politicians, leaving the people out.
The people have been promised SMEs and all these kind of things, but no one's identified what they actually are.
Landowners from 6 villages in the impact areas want the PMIZ project stopped, while a landowner company claiming to represent the Baitata people are pushing for it to happen. When the petition was presented 2 days ago, it nearly turned into a brawl when a group of men and their landowner company with backing from a former politician gave opposition.
Department of Environment Conservation, they will not allow the environment to be damaged. All by treating always now. Make sure me good learner the chat him.
The argument is between 2 factions of people, the landowners from 6 villages who want the government to stop the PMIZ and a landowner company backed by a former politician who was Commerce Minister during the Somari-led government.
All the illegal shootings or something managed by Department of Environment and Conservation, they got the responsible of Department of managers.
They want the project to continue. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News.
Concerns have been raised by UPNG students from Telefomin and other parts of West Sepik Province for their school fees to be paid out before the start of the new school year. The students are concerned that late payments could see them missing out on enrollment, registration and accommodation on campus. They are now calling on their leaders to provide funds at the start of the academic year to avoid any inconveniences.
Right now.
Students from West Sepik Province, particularly from Telefomin, echoed their concerns to their elected Member of Parliament, Solan Mirisim. They wanted funds for school fee assistance to be paid early so they can concentrate in their studies.
That check comes in later. During the registration for us, we should pay the full amount of the fees.
The local MP was there to present the third batch of assistance worth 43,000 kina to 43 Telefomin students attending the University of Papua New Guinea. One urgent concern raised by the students is for the West Sepik provincial government to release funds for school fee assistance immediately. President of UPNG Sundown Students Association and third-year law student Zebedi Kamaso said to date they are still awaiting funds from the provincial government.
Many people have said that human resource development is a very important area that I think the government has to invest in, and I believe in that.
The local MP could only comment for his district. He clarified that these are government funding, stating that if and when it is made available, then he delivers them accordingly. He also encouraged the students to concentrate in their studies, as so much was spent annually.
When the school fees like this are given, please do not take that as granted. Do not take that as something nothing. Take that opportunity, put your heads down, study hard so that you get what worth this check or what worth this amount that is given.
Telefomin District Authority has allocated 1.5 million kina each for 2015 and 2016 under its DSIP education component. Bridget Komatap, National MTV News.
The maiden flight for the Spirit of Bulolo and Correctional Services launched its website. I'll bring you those stories and more after the break. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. People from rural parts of the Bulolo district are expected to save costs when transporting goods and medical supplies. New plane, the Spirit of Bulolo, bought by district funds, will reduce prices of store goods and transport cash crops out from the district. Bulolo MP Sam Basil says airfares will be subsidized by the district administration to make it more affordable to the people.
This was the crowd gathered yesterday at one of the country's oldest airstrip. Moresby's Wow airstrip will be home to the Spirit of Bulolo. An hour past noon, the plane landed at its homeland in Bulolo. The plane was bought using district funds. People had been struggling to get their fresh produce and coffee to the markets.
We prop up the little economy of Wow. We want the spending power here so people can come, spend a night here, buy a ticket and go to their villages in Waria. Not only Waria, but in Oro province, Kira, and in Kerema.
Over the years, people have been using poor roads to transport store goods and medical supplies and teaching materials for schools. While the plane will make it easier to transport, the district will be subsidizing ticketing and freight charges to reduce costs. This means a 300 kina ticket will be subsidized by 25%.
Now the government would be better off to help general aviation if they could set up sheds in all the major airports.
An estimated 80% of PNG's population live in rural areas. Like Bulolo's Garaina and Biaru areas, people face difficulties without roads. The debate now is for the government to subsidize freight. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Leh.
The National Food Sanitation Council has been revived by the swearing-in of its new council members in Port Moresby today. It comes after the council went into a slumber for over 10 years, leaving manufacturers, food bar operators and importers to conduct business without proper health inspections.
The newly sworn-in council members include representatives from statutory bodies in the public and private sectors. It will be chaired by Shay Scovell, the current president of the PNG Chamber of Commerce.
The challenges that we're going to have is that we need to go and work collectively with all of those other bodies and come up with a solution where we are able to meet our own fiduciary responsibilities, but have a system in place that is very easy for our people, be it that it's, young children, their mothers and fathers.
6 out of 10 council members were sworn in by a legal advisor this morning. From the 6, the only female was Sogoing Denano, who represented the PNG University of Technology.
The new council members now have a challenging role before them. Their roles include the overseeing of imported goods. This means ensuring that all imported goods are written in English and meet the standards of PNG. Now they will also be executing their powers to inspect kaibas and ensuring that the food is prepared in a clean environment.
It's not fair to our people that we have products on shelves that don't have adequate labelling. That sort of thing needs to be eradicated.
Health Secretary Pascal Kase, who represented the state in witnessing the swearing-in, specified the responsibilities of the council members. He said the council is an important body because it executes the health policies in place by the state, and those sworn in must take the responsibilities seriously.
We have to, in future and under your leadership as council members, have to think of a more effective way of managing food in Papua New Guinea, especially the enforcement of the current food sanitation laws.
Taklagunga, National MTV News.
The PNG Correctional Service is stepping up its information technology service after 10 years of development. As a tool for promoting the institution, CS has launched its official website, open for information sharing and feedback.
As technology advances, government departments have realized the advantage of doing business and sharing information electronically using the World Wide Web. Now, PNG Correctional Service is the latest department to launch a new website for the public. IT capabilities were introduced into the CS department in 2005 with funding assistance from the then PNG Law and Justice Program. However, after 10 years, the department finally have a site for promoting its business and marketing its strategies, policies, and information to the wider community.
We cannot turn a blind eye to the technological changes that are occurring right across the globe. Your next project is to urgently have in place a correctional service IT policy. This is important to control but also to sustain our IT service.
Commissioner Michael Waipo says with this website, CS can tell its stories to partners interested in corrections and rehabilitation work. The launch of the website yesterday was attended by senior CS personnel, including Minister Jim Simatab. Simatab challenged his officers to use this electronic site to market the department and to use as a public relations tool.
That this brand new website will explore different tiers of interactivity and to select practical components that would enhance interactive online public relations in our corrections.
The website was created by Pacific Software Solution, a local IT and database company. It can be accessed on www.correctionalservice.gov.pg. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
Leader of the opposition, Don Pollier, was on the Talkback show at the FM 100 studio here in Port Moresby yesterday. Among the different issues raised, the opposition leader says he was serious about a vote of no confidence in the next session of Parliament.
On judgments on that, and of course other business. Now,
Mr. Pollier was on the radio show yesterday with the renowned talk show host Roger Hawofa. He voiced many of the opposition's various concerns with how the country was being managed, and at the end of the show, Mr. Pollier said he was serious about a vote of no confidence in the next session of Parliament.
And I know the Prime Minister is listening, the ministers and other members and colleagues on the other side of the House are listening. I'm serious to move the motion for the vote of no confidence. I'm serious to change this government also because enough is enough.
In the same breath, Mr. Pollier also clarified that the opposition doesn't necessarily always disagree with the government. He said the government has some good policies such as the free education policy. He made this remark when expressing disappointment that the opposition wasn't invited to any of the meetings when Joko Widodo, President of the Republic of Indonesia, was in the country for a 2-day state visit. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
An academic from the University of Papua New Guinea has vowed to contest the Goilala Open by-election seat. Dr. Felix Smith Gitai, the first from Goilala with a doctorate, says it's about time to contribute to the development of his people in the electorate.
Dr. Felix Smith Gitai is one intending candidate set to contest the Goilala Open by-election. The first from Goilala with a PhD in mathematics and physics from Lincoln University in New Zealand. He has been lecturing at the University of Papua New Guinea for over 15 years. Lecturing geophysics and astronomy is enough, and Dr. Gitai decided to contribute to the electorate's development. Now at 45 years old, he has resigned from duties to contest the by-election, left vacant following the death of late MP Daniel Mona. Dr. Gitai is said to continue the good work and legacy left behind by the late MP that's people-centered. Dr. Gitai said the government's priority must be on people as active recipients of change. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3685 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was fetching $0.361, $0.4415 Australian dollars, $0.3140 euro, and 42.58 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa and copper all closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed the day higher as well, while crude oil closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 8 points lower, the ASX closed at 31 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 29 points lower as well. Among stories coming up after the break, Indonesia rescues hundreds of migrants at sea. Stay tuned for that and more. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, almost 600 migrants thought to be Myanmar and Bangladeshi refugees were rescued from the boats off the coast of North Aceh in Indonesia. They spent more than 2 months at sea before running out of fuel and sailing adrift off the coast of Indonesia. They were moved to a processing facility in Aceh yesterday to have their cases registered and determined. The incident marks an all-time high in human trafficking of asylum seekers heading to Malaysia and Australia via Indonesia. The overcrowded boats, which were carrying nearly 100 women and dozens of children among the refugees, had run out of fuel and were towed to shore by local fishermen. Jeffrey Savage from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees says the surge in migrants from Bangladesh and Myanmar follow the clampdown of people smuggling networks in Thailand, which is usually the first destination for migrants in the region.
Because they've been stuck out at sea for weeks, for months. They've been held on these ships, and then the smugglers just deserted them and left them with very little food, very little water, no fuel for the engines, and they've been drifting. So it's something that really is a massive humanitarian crisis waiting to happen, and we're hoping that the international community will step up and try and resolve the problem.
One of the captured migrants says he hopes the United Nations can help them get to Australia.
We hope Indonesia help us, bring us to go Australia.
The Aceh Search and Rescue Agency says, according to the information they have, the people on board were Muslim Rohingyas from Myanmar. The International Organization for Migration says Bangladeshis were also among the migrants. Refugee processing and resettlement in Indonesia is not an option for the captured migrants, as Indonesia is not a party to the United Nations Convention of Refugees 1951. But its foreign ministry says it will work with the UN and the Organization for Migration.
Where we took in the refugees, we provided them shelter, we provide them food, and we also coordinated with the UNHCR and IOM, as well as with the local government and immigration to register them.
An estimated 25,000 Rohingyas and Bangladeshis boarded people smugglers' boats in the first 3 months of this year, twice as many in the same period of 2014, the UN Refugee Agency revealed. The United Nations has appealed to authorities in Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia not to push back boats packed with refugees who have been abandoned by smugglers following a Thai government's crackdown on traffickers. The Australian government has made tremendous cuts in foreign aid to Papua New Guinea and Indonesia and countries in Africa. Aid to Africa and the Middle East will be cut by around 70%, despite an appeal from several African ambassadors earlier in March. The Abbott government is reportedly looking into increased engagement in the Indo-Pacific region. Aid to Papua New Guinea is now around 1 billion kina, down from about 1.2 billion last year, while other Pacific countries have remained largely unaffected by the cuts. Aid to Indonesia, however, was cut by 40%. Australian Treasurer Joe Hockey says the cuts are not in retaliation to Indonesia's recent executions of 2 Australian drug traffickers. The Abbott government has reportedly cut billions in foreign aid since taking office in 2013. Human trafficking continues to be one of the most lucrative forms of business in the world. The International Organization for Migration estimates that there were around 300 deaths at sea in the first quarter of this year, as well as 8,000 people currently stranded at sea. In a bid to crack down on human trafficking, Thailand has called for Malaysia and Myanmar to help in stamping out the region's thriving human trafficking trade.
The Thai Prime Minister said the authorities' previous efforts in combating human trafficking were ineffective and called for increased cooperation between Asian nations, as well as pinpointing the perpetrators.
We need the international organization to get involved and help talk to the nation of the origin and the destination countries. And for us, we need to manage what happens on our side, and the government needs to sort this out as well.
Thailand has experienced an increase in refugees that have been drifting from poverty-stricken Bangladesh and Myanmar to Malaysia and Indonesia since Thailand's announcement of a crackdown on human trafficking.
This is an international crime, and we happen to be in the middle of the three-part smuggling route, so we need to fix this. We need to speed up coordination to help solve human trafficking as soon as possible, as according to the law. We need to help each other handle this problem. If we keep accusing each other, the problem won't go anywhere.
Alana Lay, EMTV World News.
Back home, while the Salvation Army's House of Hope is predominantly responsible for combating social issues, they have limited facilities. Salvation Army's House of Hope Director, Major Ridia Nenewa, revealed that there is no safe house to provide counseling and resources for victims of abuse, violence and neglect. MTV's Eric Harupa has this report.
Salvation's Army House of Hope Director Major Ridia Nenewa said, "These children at the Salvation Army are part and parcel of this picture. They are just a portion of many children in Papua New Guinea who lack access to basic necessities to sustain their livelihoods." She said children brighten up the world on dull days and give you the edge to go the extra mile, but she is concerned about the lack of facilities to help support these disadvantaged children.
Salvation Army House of Hope is a mission set up by the Salvation Army, focusing to provide support services to those survivors.
Of some of the projects, the community projects and things that are done by the Salvation Army here in PNG.
However, they have the best possible love and care given to them by a team of welfare aides, education officers and professional social workers. Mr. Mark Baker said the Salvation's Army Community Project has been a source of refuge for abused, neglected and abandoned children. Eric Aruma, National EMTV News.
Michael Marum, confident of his Hunters in this weekend's match in Brisbane. I'll be back with all the details in Trukai Sports. That's coming up next.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Coach Michael Marum has retained his side from last weekend's win against the Northern Pride. The SP Hunters will take on Northern Devils this weekend in an away match at the Bishop Park in Brisbane. MTV's Shane Saroya has more.
Until last Sunday, the reigning premiers, Pride, were the only side the SP Hunters had yet to beat in the Intra-Super Cup competition.
Put it down. Is the question, yes? The referee likes it, and William Manoga.
That has changed after their 36-16 victory at Callabon Oval, Kokopo. Now leaving 2014 runners-up East Tigers as the only team the Hunters have yet to beat. That opportunity becomes available in round 21 in early August. But for now, Marum will have to prepare his team as best as possible to overcome North Devils, with the PNG side to be continuously reminded that they will have to lift to another level when they play away from home in order to improve their record on the road. Teams which host the SP Hunters shift into another gear, and the PNG team have to focus harder on whatever game plan Coach Marum has devised for the entire match to trouble the Devils.
Well, I don't know who the immediate player on the inside here just gets a tap. It's Brandy Pete again.
Norths are backing up from a close but heartwarming 26-24 victory over CQ Capras, and the SP Hunters will have to go out with all guns blazing to overcome the home side. Has made only one change, bringing in Enoch Maki back from injury on the interchange bench in place of Timothy Lomai. PSP Hunters on 12 points sit in 5th position. But how teams are patched on the Premiership table can be deceiving, and 12th placed North will be out to prove exactly that. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
PNG's national women's cricket team, the Lewas, are the current champions in the East Asia Pacific region and will be hoping to retain their title in July. Most players in this year's team for the Pacific Games are from last year's ICC East Asia Pacific tournament. When speaking to the captain, Pauke Siaka, and experienced player Bonnie David, this is what they had to say about the team's preparations leading up to the July Games.
Fields are not ready yet, but we are doing our best to improve our skills in indoor nets and also at gym.
Our training is very good, tough, hard, because we really want to achieve the goal that we are aiming for. Half of the team has been new players been involved. I think there's 5 or 6 former players and experienced players. I think 5 or 6 players have been training with the young girls.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The All-Search Baton Relay has left Anga Province and is now in Mendi, Southern Highlands. All-Search Managing Director Peter Botten handed the baton over to the people of Mendi after its travels in Anga and the All-Search sites. Here are all the highlights.
From the airport, the relay started. The first runner accompanied by ladies in traditional dress on either side and dignitaries close behind. From police to Post PNG and BSP, the baton moved through many hands as the streets filled with people. The relay continued on through Mendi town on its way to Mome Oval for a formal welcome. The provincial and national anthems were sung by students and flags raised. Speeches were made by dignitaries and members of the Board of Oil Search flew in for the event to show their support. At the end of the formal welcome, Peter Botten took the baton down to the oval so more people could greet the baton. From there, the relay took to the road, leaving Mendi town to go to Imbongo district, where it was to visit a number of schools. A Lumbi student dressed in traditional bilas accepted the baton. His fellow students sat in position, making up the letters Pacific Games 2015. The baton moving amongst them, even the young having their chance to hold. Next were students from Yebi Primary School to move the baton on. The All-Search baton relay continues.
The incident that happened after the match between Hagen Eagles and Simbu Lions has sparked much debate in the rugby fraternity. Since the inception of the semi-professional competition, no incident of this magnitude has occurred, with claims by sources that the incident could further tarnish the reputation of a sport that has already struggled in recent years from negative publicity. The Rugby League Judicial Committee will look further into this matter, and the matter is also now in the hands of the police. Nigel Jamieson, the co-artistic founder with Makoto Productions, the company in charge of the opening ceremony of the Pacific Games, says the preparations are progressing well. The whole design of the ceremony has been complete, with the focus now on the delivery of the final presentation. With rehearsals to begin in 2 weeks, Jamieson believes the opening ceremony of the 2015 Pacific Games is extremely ambitious.
Well, I suppose everyone speaks, with so much affection for 1991 and obviously just the sheer strength of the cultural presentations. So we know that's a hard, barrier to beat, but it's 25 years later and we've got an incredible cultural team here working on it from PNG, and I think also we've probably got, I like to think the very best from around the world in terms of putting on these, these festivals. I've been lucky, I've done opening ceremony for the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, a whole series of, but I've never been anywhere where there's, the same rich culture that there's here. It's amazing.
Well, that does it for Trukai Sports tonight. The weather details for the next 24 hours, that's coming up after these short messages. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for today and tonight in southern region, Port Moresby to look forward to some rain, showers expected in Poponeta, Kerema and Alotau, fine weather in Daru. In Momase, brief evening showers expected in Madang, showers for Ley. Meanwhile, Wewak and Vanimore to look forward to fine weather. New Guinea Islands, Kimbe to look forward to fine weather, few showers and thunderstorms in Buka. Kokopo and Rabaul to look forward to rain, showers in Lorengau, and Kavieng, brief showers. And in the Highlands region, rain expected in all centres. Looking forecast for small ships, there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Milne Bay Islands to New Britain, to New Ireland and Bougainville. Looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerema, Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, New Ireland, New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters. Waters of Finschhafen, Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands to Long Islands, Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters, and waters west of Long Island, Madang, Bogia through to Wewak, Aitape, Vanimore, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral Sea, seas rough to moderate with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. Solomon Sea, seas rough with southwest winds at 25 to 34 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with west to southwest winds at 20 to 20 knots. And lastly, Pacific Ocean, seas moderate to rather rough with southwest to northwest winds at 20 to 34 knots. Now, before we go, quickly recapping our main stories again tonight. Cost of residential properties in Port Moresby remains very high. Also, Operation Open Heart lacks government support and Hunters coach retains his team for this weekend's match. Well, that's been the news, sports and weather this Thursday, the 14th of May, 2015. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. You take care and stay safe. Good night.